Here.
So, with the Rocor anathema against ecumenism, you know about the Rocor anathema, right? Like in
Uh huh.
1983.
1983. Yeah.
Yep. And you know about the World Council of Churches, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How do I, because I'm part of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese, I think you're Rocor. Have you said, are you Rocor or are you not? I gotta ask that.
Yeah. I mean, my priest has been on countless streams, and we've done many conferences.
Perfect. So, my issue, and I actually ventured into old calendarism a little bit. I'm not on that path anymore, but
Too bad.
it's a hard thing for me to see the ecumenism of our hierarchs. Like, Patriarch Kirill, not trying to slander the patriarch, but him saying that we worship the same God as the Muslims. Patriarch Bartholomew, all his ecumenistic stuff, the Ukraine issue, the Alexandrian Patriarch calling Muhammad an apostle of God.
This kid knows his stuff.
Baptizing a child of two gay people, and then his ecumenism, and then worshiping in a quote-unquote Protestant church, which is not really a church, because it's outside of the body of Christ.
He's getting annoyed.
How do we reconcile that, which is the present reality, with the Rocor anathema against ecumenism without indirectly anathematizing our own hierarchs?
He's fine with
well, another thing is to understand that this stuff takes time to work out. So
Lots of time.
Like, as a lay person, it's not your duty you don't have to work all this out on your own. But if you are in a situation where your hierarch himself is bad news, and you detect that with your own, anointing and your own sensibilities, then you can move on to a different church. So
which church?
What exactly are you asking? Like, what do you mean when you say, how do we sort it out?
Which one,
find
Jay?
A good church and a good spiritual
Say
father?
it, Jay.
I mean, I have a good spiritual father, but my issue is the archbishopric. Because my spiritual father's fine, at least from what I know. But the bishops,
my
main
priest.
problem is not the priest, it's the bishop, the
hierarchs of
the archdiocese.
Yeah, I mean, if they... there's no one size fits all, because I don't think that, like, it's impossible for even lay people to know everything that their bishop is up to, right?
Where do you go?
You're not going to be held accountable for what your bishop did.
Yes,
however,
you are.
What?
Yes, you are.
St. John Maximovich said directly, don't accept any more of this from your hierarchs. So what is he talking about?
This is their thing now. It's like, don't worry, even if your bishop is a heretic. Okay, we admit it. Your bishop's a heretic, but that's okay. You can still stay and it'll be okay. This is insanity.
Eventually we get to a point where there is...
We have a conference now from the new calendars guy that he's okay with ecumenism, like kind of, it's a sideways to accept it. Like, I don't have any problem with the non-Orthodox heretics and all the stuff. Okay, but what about you, the wrong course? Come on, guys. Seriously, they have problem only with us, old calendarists.
Well, you know what's amazing is that we've gone so far in just a year. Last year, they were still lying and saying, oh, ecumenism's a terrible heresy. Now they're just like, ecumenism's fine, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
It's just shameful.
Yeah, he put on his glasses immediately. Had to put the poker face on.
Yeah, he's like, I noticed he put on the glasses when he gave this answer. I think it's because even he feels himself being insincere.
Churches like, we're going to give all of your donations to the Muslims or what. Like, so if something like that happened, then like you would be in a situation where there was a clear cut reason to remove yourself, or
He's like,
when they start giving Muslims donations, then break communion.
Then everyone can break communion.
Or what? Like, so if something like that happened, then like you would be in a situation where there was a clear cut reason to remove yourself.
Oh, it's not clear cut until you're just throwing the money at the Muslims,
or even rebuke him or something. Like,
rebuke him.
There's not an easy like one size fits all answer as to how we quote reconcile it, because it's a case by case basis, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He's saying a whole lot of nothing.
I understand that. My main thing is because I like the Russian Orthodox Church. I'm a Greek Orthodox Christian, but I like the Russian Orthodox spirit a lot more because they're much more faithful from my experience. So I'm here in the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese, and I'm very anti-ecumenism, and then what's surrounding me, ecumenism. And then looking at the old calendar's position, they make a really strong argument. I'm going to say it, in my opinion, I think they make the strongest argument out of all the schismatics. Like, they make a good argument, but but I want to refute it. But like what I see around me doesn't.
He's
give me the
so
opportunity
close.
Well, where in church history is there parallel episcopacies that are set up? Did John?
It's
We aren't
lots
parallels.
of them. There's lots of times where things like that have happened. Actually, in almost every heretical situation in church history, that parallel jurisdiction had been established through other bishops trying to preserve the church. What he's saying is nonsense. This is actually common in church history.
Right. So it'd be an Orthodox Archbishop of Rome and a Arian Archbishop of Rome. But, you know, it's like, it goes back to this. It's like, how are we a parallel if they're ecumenists?
Yeah.
You know, we're the Orthodox, they're not. You know, that's not a parallel. To be a parallel, you'd have to be the same thing.
Well, that would be a schism, but they're kind of creating a new religion. Let's take a look here what we got here. Father Bless, question. Why do you think Father Ananias and Jay have these views against true orthodoxy? Frankly, because I think it destroys their sales pitches. So joining one asks, are there three ways that a bishop loses grace? Schism, heresy, directly denying Christ, liberace. If the third category isn't as distinct, what would the lapsed fall under? They would fall under apostasy. So they would have to be received back by chrismation, etc. And the clergy would have to be received back by repentance. Gubanov says, Metropolitan Demetrius summed up the position thusly, the patriarch's a heretic, but if you don't commemorate him, you're a schismatic. Yeah, this is a point we've all been making. What like authority does Jay like Dyer like speak like as like a layman? Like there's not like an easy like one. Okay, let's finish this up because I want to hear how ridiculous this answer is going to get.
When he was persecuted.
No.
Right.
That's why O'Connor's was wrong, but
wait, why are we wrong? Hold on.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, but
hold on. I want to hear this.
Did John Chrysostom do that when he was persecuted?
Yes, he actually did do that. There was the schism of the Johnites, and he set up a parallel church administration. So yeah, that actually did happen, Jay.
Yeah.
No,
right.
That's why O'Connor's was wrong.
He says no because he doesn't know. Poor kid.
Orthodox Traditionalist Publication did the Joniites article, and then you have also in the calendar question, it's brought up.
Yeah, what they're taking advantage of? They're taking advantage of mass ignorance. So what they're doing here is they're just reaffirming erroneous and mistaken opinions at this point, kind of maliciously. I hope this question
he's lying. So,
he's just flat out lying.
And it's slander too. And
you're slandering St. John.
In the book of James, it says those that slander are of demons. So
the actual thesis is that the actual opinion is that, let's say, for St. John Chrysostom, St. John Chrysostom was already been exiled from Constantinople. He was away of Constantinople, so his enemies, they had to establish somebody else. So that's what they are taking advantage of. But we have to remind them that the Byzantine history wasn't a free. The Byzantine Empire wasn't a free state. There was an emperor who was deciding who is going to be the patriarch, who is going to be exiled, and all those things. But today we have democracy. It's totally different. We cannot judge the history according to modern, modern. How do you call it?
Modern concepts of state relations. Yeah, no, I get that. And that's true.
But Rome, the Arian Pope and the Orthodox Pope in Rome, that's what we can compare, our situation.
Yeah. And that's happened with the Donatists. They had a bishop in Rome, etc. And so that's kind of the comparison. But that parallel has always existed in church history. It always happens. So they're just, at this point, Jay's just lying.
But they're right about ecumenism. That's the main thing.
Yeah, but I mean, a Protestant can say that ecumenism is bad. A lot of them do. So,
and they'd be more justified in calling themselves the church than you because of that.
Well, another situation that comes in my head, Father Joseph, sorry for interrupting.
No.
Yeah, another situation that comes in my head of parallel churches is 1204. After the siege of Constantinople in 1204, the Pope established his Latin church in
Patriarchate of Jerusalem, of Constantinople. Yep.
So, but there is something I'm going to say about the Latin Patriarch of Constantinople. after 1261, when the Byzantines got back Constantinople, their Pope, he moved in, their Patriarch actually, he moved in Rome, and he stayed there forever. He's actually the descendant of Unia. And one of the popes, the patriarchs of Constantinople, was actually Vissarion from Trabzon at 1453. When it says,
in the Florence,
he's signing us Vissarion Patriarchum Constantinopolitanum. So this is, we can find that one in the Marcian library, his actual signature with that title.
Wow.
Yeah, in the Marcian library in Venice, the code number is 70. The codex number is 70. So there was always parallel a heretic church under the Pope, Patriarch of Constantinople under the Pope, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, as you said, and also the Orthodox. And aside of that, we always had the Coptic, the Monophysites churches in Alexandria, Antiochia, unfortunately Jerusalem, right? So that was always happening. And so we are living the same situation today with the Orthodox, which is us, what they so-called old calendarists, and the non-Orthodox, or those who are in communion with the non-Orthodox, who are all those people out there blaming on us.
100%. I agree. It's incredible, and it's so obvious that we're in church history, and these things are and they're treating it as abstract, and they don't even realize it. Let's see. Oh, go ahead.
So I, just on that parallel jurisdiction thing, I have this right here, and it's very short, and I think it would be important just so somebody, if someone were to see this. There were iconoclasts who remained in communion with iconoclasts, just equally venerated icons. These people lost their grace even though they held to orthodoxy by remaining in communion with heretics. St. Paul of Constantinople even resigned because he did this, had to be received back into the church. The Seventh Ecumenical Council claimed punishment on those who had remained in communion with them. St. Hilary of Poitiers talked about people who remained in communion with Arians by holding to Orthodox Christology. After the martyrdom of St. Proterius of Alexandria, the Monophysites took over the Church of Alexandria. The Church of Antioch and the Church of Constantinople just consecrated new bishops for sees that were occupied by Monophysites. During the Monothite crisis, the Church of Rome did the same thing in the East. During the Arian crisis, there was an Arian Archbishop of Jerusalem and an Orthodox one. There was also an Arian Bishop of Rome and the Orthodox Bishop of Rome. So by WO logic, the Orthodox Church was in the wrong for setting up parallel jurisdictions all these other times.
Well, that's definitely their position, because the canons lay out that people can break away from a false bishop and join a true one. So that's in the canons. So let me see. What is this? A reaction to a reaction? Not exactly. It was kind of a follow-up to the reaction on the patristic faith guy. How do you know Putin is a Chabadnik? That's outside the scope of this stream. I would honestly recommend going to Yandex and type in Putin Chabad connection, and it'll translate, and you'll find stuff.
Another one that I want to mention about parallel churches is the Ukrainian. What happens today in Ukraine?
Oh, there's like 7 or 8 of them at this point.
Exactly. So, and also, how many bishops do they have for the same city? Let's say Metropolitan of Kharkov or Kiev. There are actually five or six of them, and also the Unites of
the Unites are also there too. Yeah.
So
2 patriarchs in Jerusalem.
Yeah. This stuff happens. This is just part of church history. It's stuff we have to deal with. But they pretend it's not real. And so that's fine. They keep lying, and we'll keep telling the truth.
So around the 10th century, there is actually an Arab historian, Yahya, I think his name. The situation was so bad in Jerusalem, people were fighting for the holy fire. So this guy says that the Muslim Sultan was entering at the holy grave to take the holy sepulchre, to take the holy fire. This is written in the Muslim, in the Arabs, in the Arab, actually, from the Arab historians. You can see that Yahya is his name, from historian from 10th century, an Arab historian. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It's really amazing that how much history there is there, and they're just ignoring it. But let's finish this up.
I mean, it's not just diagnosing a problem isn't all there is to it. Like, you also have to have the right answer to the problem, right? I mean, there's trad cats that are against ecumenism. I'm not going to become a papist because trad cats oppose ecumenism.
What's he talking
That's a good
about?
point. I've also thought about going into the Russian Orthodox Church, at least when I'm older, either becoming monastic because either that or getting married in the Russian Orthodox Church. Because in my opinion, I don't think I'd ever trust my kids to be in the care of the archdiocese because of, what's going on in the archdiocese. I don't feel like it'd be a safe place to raise Orthodox children because
it's a fair concern. I mean, if Jamie had kids, I would not want them around somebody like a Pedophoros.
Exactly right. So then but then again, I also.
But it's okay to have them around KGB agents.
It's kind of a struggle with
exactly.
Well, when you say I'm a Greek Orthodox Christian, that's odd to me because we're all Orthodox. So what do you mean? What do you mean you're a Greek?
Because they're out of communion. That's why. That's the big issue. Because they're out of communion, and my dad doesn't really know the Russian style of Orthodoxy so well. So it would be a rough situation. And I feel like the ROCOR is the only last standing Orthodox institution, at least from my experience, that is very, very anti-humanist.
Just too bad he doesn't realize it's the wrong ROCOR.
Besides,
yeah, exactly.
Just the
regular
crazy average Joe, but like the ROCOR hierarchy is much more against ecumenism, is much more about catechizing the faithful.
Oh, that brings me to another topic. Subdeacon Nictario sent me a link to something Father Andrew Phillips of the Moscow Patriarchate in Europe he put up and then deleted from his blog, talking about like there's like a culture of homo stuff in the ROCOR that's being exposed, and he was naming a couple of names and leaving a few rabbit trails to go down. But he put it up like 2 weeks ago, and then it's gone now. So, ironically, this may not be the safe haven that this fellow thinks it is. For those wondering, I can put up where it is. Give me a second. I'll put up the article, and I'll put up a link, and people can follow up on it if they want to. But, okay, this is the web archive, so I'm going to share this for a second. This was put up on the 11th, and I am going to share the actual link in the chat. So if you want to read this, as you can see, it's titled ROCOR, the Church of Pedophiles and Perverts. This is not talking about, obviously, the continuing ROCOR, but the ROCOR of the Moscow Patriarchate, because that's the one he's part of. So ironically, if he's trying to keep his kids safe, Father Andrew Phillips, formerly of ROCOR, now of the MP, has seemed to have made a compelling argument for why they might not be that safe regardless. So let's put this back. So you have that if you want to read it. It's in the chat. And let's go.
That's what I feel is better, but I can't really do much about that because of my situation. So that's why I was thinking about O'Callinerism, because my parents are they're familiar with Greek Orthodoxy. So I was just trying to
it's a good idea. Go to a Greek church.
Trying to fall.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I feel for you in the sense of I've been through, parishes that were ecumenist and weird and moved on and all that.
Yeah,
but
you keep defending them.
The problems that you're going to get in some kind of weird schismatic group are
problems you're going to get. How would you know?
Father Dean,
you don't know anything about us.
To kind of the
flaming idiot.
The phronema of what you get.
Phronema.
TOGOC.
Phronema. Come on.
Phronema.
Talk to Dr. Jeannie Constantini. You'll hear it said about 1,000 times.
Groups.
Yeah. Did you see the article I sent you from Father John Whiteford?
I did. Yeah. Father John Whiteford exactly has a great article on this.
Yeah, I've seen those review articles. I argued with them back then.
I mean, first of all, with the TO, they ignore the other canons too. That basically. So one of the things in the canons is that
I can't wait to
okay,
hear this.
ecumenism has been condemned by ROCOR, but to separate from, and this is even applies to the bishop.
Been condemned by a lot of people, not just ROCOR at this point. It's just the ROCOR now was the first one.
Bishops and the priests too. So they would have to publicly actually say, we now support ecumenism, or let's say some other heresy or something.
Well, it's official. Dyer has finished mashing whatever yogurt was left in that poor boy's head. Yeah, I think I'm done here. I'll see if there's more.
Like before you could actually separate prior to a synod.
What are they talking? What?
They're trying to make sense of their nonsensical position.
Set up a parallel.
Canon 15 says completely otherwise, that before a synod, and not only that, it's been condemned. You know, ecumenism has been dimmed. You know, it's been anathematized. And when they joined the MP, there was no leaving the WCC. If I'm not mistaken, ROCOR joined the WCC too, and they're paying dues.
Well, I think they basically have an out by basically they are members through the Moscow Patriarchate, so they may not have to do any of the dues. But there have been ecumenist events we've seen in ROCOR in the past couple of ROCOR and P in the past year or two. There's been priests at ecumenical gatherings, including ones with Muslims and Jews. So it doesn't surprise me. But what's happening here is again, this is kind of a cult, and so the cognitive dissonance has broken through with this guy, and he's just desperately trying to get pat on the head by Jay to feel comforted because things have gone wrong.
Right. Like he sees through it, he knows, and now it's just like looking for anything. You know?
And he'll take anything Dyer gives him, which in this case is utter, incomprehensible garbage.
Right.
One of the things is, it's unfortunate that bishops hold or have ecumenist attitudes and believe different stuff. But the question is, does it affect your local parish? Is this the same
guy?
Probably not. So I don't really understand why people are so obsessed with, like, I have to find...
I like my priest. Okay, we're done with this one. So, yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, obligatory. Canon 15 doesn't say you have to cease commemoration. Exactly. It's always the same. Anyway, it's 9:30. I just wanted to follow up because I realized there were people in the chat from the last video, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad we spent this time